Are altcoins going to get left behind in this crypto bull run? Morgan Stanley considering Bitcoin ETFs and ETF trading volume surpasses $7.5 billion today, which is more than double the previous record. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Crypto Daily. As you can hear, I'm still sick from the last episode, so bear with me. I think I'm doing a little bit better than last time, though, so hopefully a little bit less vocal irritation while we go through this. But we had to jump on because Bitcoin is at 62K. So if you've been watching the market, which I'm sure you have been, Bitcoin has been absolutely ripping. I saw some stat that we're like, we haven't gone down. We haven't had more than like a 10% drawdown on Bitcoin since we crossed 40K. So it's just been kind of like straight up and to the right the past few months. So as you can see here, like past 6 months, we're up 36K or 140%. So not a bad return for people that were dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. As I've written, dozens of articles talking about dollar cost averaging strategies and how I've been in that for a long time and collateralized lending vaults and all that good stuff. So if you were following along for the past 2 or 3 years, you've probably done pretty well. So first piece of news here, Coinbase adds smart wallet feature so that lengthy seed phrases aren't needed. Nothing too crazy here, but the real thing I wanted to focus in on is that every year crypto gets more and more usable to the average person. So when you look at like the internet or any real new technology like the early iPhone versus the iPhone today, excuse me, the technology gets easier and easier to use. So that's kind of a key part of getting adoption. And excuse me again, like I said, still sick. So that's a key part of getting adoption and growing the ecosystem. And in crypto, that is a big part of the price going up because obviously you need more adoption. So, things like smart wallet features and just generally making it easier to use crypto is something I always keep my eyes on. Obviously, if you follow what I do with Inleo, it's a big part of the mission with that startup is making crypto usable and friendly to the average human being. So the kind of headline for today, and you've already read it, is that, will this market function like previous crypto bull runs where, Bitcoin goes up and then eventually altcoins follow suit? A lot of people are saying that Bitcoin is just going to keep going up and altcoins won't follow suit. Don't expect it to be the same as other crypto bull runs. I stand kind of 50-50 on this. I think that it is different in certain ways. Obviously, there is a lot of ETF inflows. So there's a lot of big funds that are now buying into Bitcoin that won't ever buy into altcoins unless there's, an altcoin index ETF or something, which I do think will come eventually, maybe not in the next year or two, but at some point, I think there will be ETFs for altcoins, especially Ethereum. Sorry, excuse me. This is bad. Especially for Ethereum. I think Ethereum is right around the corner, and then other altcoins will eventually have ETFs, especially some kind of altcoin ETF index. But that all being said, remember that as Bitcoin ETFs get more inflows, the price of Bitcoin goes up, and there's plenty of people that have native Bitcoin who will eventually convert that Bitcoin into altcoins, expecting that altcoins will eventually go up. So, while strictly speaking, money that goes into a Bitcoin ETF isn't going to flow from a Bitcoin ETF into an altcoin, the value that money flowing into the Bitcoin ETF pushes the Bitcoin price up will actually make its way into the altcoin market if people holding native Bitcoin sell that Bitcoin for altcoins. So kind of like a interesting mechanism to think about, but the fact that the price of Bitcoin goes up is how you get more money to flow into altcoins. So I don't think that people are necessarily right that this time is different. I do think there are things about this time that are different, but I don't think that altcoins are going to have no performance because, Bitcoin ETF is all anybody ever cares about and all the money is going to flow into that ETF and stay there and it's not going to go into altcoins. I don't personally see that happening. I think there's a lot more nuance to this where, like I said, the ETFs push the price of Bitcoin up, and now everybody with on-chain Bitcoin can move into whatever they want, which is how we've seen the market move time and time again. I also, if you look at past, bull runs, the people in altcoins were never big institutions or big funds. It's typically retail that were always in the altcoins and doing all the crazy stuff with altcoins and meme coins and whatnot. So, we don't really need institutions to come in and buy, something like Dogecoin or Solana or Rune. It's more retail that drives that market anyways. So like I said, I don't think they're necessarily right in what they're saying about, all this money is going to ETFs and it's not. Excuse me. I'm sure this is going to go away at some point. So I don't think they're necessarily right that none of this money is going to move into altcoins. I think we'll see some of it come into altcoins later down the road. So I'm still holding a few different altcoins, as you guys know, but most of my portfolio is still Bitcoin. Morgan Stanley evaluating spot Bitcoin ETFs for its giant brokerage platform. So there's two parts to ETFs. One, you had to get ETFs approved, which we did, and now you need these large brokerage platforms to actually offer them to their clients. So there's a few of them out there, a few of the large big ones that are out there that haven't yet approved, giving Bitcoin ETFs or offering them blatantly to their, customer base. But I think they're going to slowly start to follow suit, especially as, you can imagine that there's funds out there and institutional investors and accredited investors that will start to call Morgan Stanley or these other brokerages and be like, hey, I like what's happening with these Bitcoin ETFs. I want to buy it on your platform with my account. And then Morgan Stanley is going to be like, well, unless we want to risk losing this client, we have to approve it. So I think they'll all slowly follow suit. It's just a matter of time. So Will Clemente tweeted, Bitcoin is trading 5% from all-time highs, but 80% of Bitcoin hasn't moved in at least 6 months. And Google search trends for Bitcoin are not looking too great compared to other bull runs. So, I still think we're in the very early legs of this bull run, which is crazy to say because, Bitcoin is literally pushing right up to its all-time highs from the last run. So I think that's just a lens into how crazy things could get in this bull run. You imagine that, we get the mania that we've got in other bull runs, but now you've got that ETF institutional money in the game. I think right now you're seeing the institutions finally getting their exposure, and then retail is still kind of sitting on the sidelines. I think there's a lot of retail out there that hasn't jumped in yet. So this institutional money is just like unlimited capital that's slowly funneling its way into these Bitcoin ETFs. Excuse me again. But eventually, you're going to have the whole... This is crazy. I'm sure you guys are wondering why I even decided to do it, but I am being pressured to do it by the team. So, anyways, we're seeing a lot of institutions buying into Bitcoin right now, and I think we're eventually going to see retail come back in. So again, Bitcoin ETF volume 2x above its previous record today at $7.5 billion in trading volume. So generally, just these ETFs are just blowing out of the water, doing really well. I think we're at about 10 or 11 billion dollars in total assets under management for the Bitcoin ETFs. And like I said in the last episode, gold is at about 100 billion. So I'm kind of keeping my eyes on when we can flip in that. I think that's going to be a good moment. So yesterday, 10,000 Bitcoin was purchased by ETFs and only 900 produced by miners. Another thing people are keeping an eye on, obviously you've got, incoming supply from the miners and you've got the Bitcoin demand. There's a lot of Bitcoin demand that's not just ETFs, but obviously the ETF demand is what is making headlines right now. So I think this is ultimately the reason why the Bitcoin price keeps pushing up. I will save the rest of my voice for the rest of the day. Thanks for listening. If you've made it this far through all the coughing, appreciate you. And I will catch you guys tomorrow, hopefully with a stronger voice. See ya.